Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new British Tier 8 Premium Tank Destroyer, the GSOR 1008. So far, after the 17, 18 or 19 games I've played in it, this tank is really solid. I've enjoyed it a lot. It's got a fair few strengths and it's got a fair few drawbacks, which means on the whole it's probably fairly balanced. It's a lot of fun to play. The clip dump potential, the ability to just decimate people with this gun is fantastic. But it is a little bit sluggish with its mobility, and it doesn't have any armour except from the turret. But on the whole, I've really thought it's solid. And its base price is 9,000 gold, but it's part of the 6,000 Ultimate Pass. So if you pay 6,000 gold, you'll get this tank, and you'll get the Ultimate Pass, which is all the level skips, and the Season Pass as well. That's well worth it, because technically you're buying this tank for 4,000 gold. Because you get 2,000 gold back for doing the Season Pass generally if you were to complete it. And yeah, 4,000 gold. That's well over half price. Solid. And like I say, you're getting a solid tank destroyer. A great little tank to play. So, in terms of the stats, it's got 226 AP pen with 321 APCR pen, which is absolutely nutty. You're probably going to see a fair few of these things firing full prem, because that will destroy everything you will ever face. Tier 10s, Tier 9s, Tier 8s, obviously, and then below. You're just going to absolutely destroy everything. And you're probably going to see this thing fire a lot of full prem because it has a long reload. And that means that people are going to get annoyed and frustrated when you do miss the odd shots here and then. You have to reload for ages. So people are going to just take out the penetration out of the equation and just make sure that if they're hitting, they're probably going to pen with that 321 pen. It's absolutely crazy penetration. It does not need that at all. It probably 270, 280 would be fine. But 321 is nuts, especially when it's like nearly a whole 100 extra pen on the standard AP round, essentially. That's crazy to me, but hey-ho. 53 HE pen, but you're not really, because you've got a low ammo count, you're not going to load a HE clip. You've got 320 alpha damage, which is great. That means you've got a 1280 clip with your 4-shot autoloader, which you can clip yourself out every time, which is hilarious. You can also smash a lot of tanks really easily and take most of the hit points. Tier 6s you tend to clip out all the time. Tier 7s, most of them you clip out unless they're heavy tanks. Tier 8s you take off most of the health, and you do a significant amount of damage to Tier 9s and 10s. That 320 Alpha 1280 clip is really nice. You do have 1200 hit points. Like I say, you can clip yourself out really easy. That's about right for Tier 8 tank destroyers. So that's decent. You just, with that HP, you can lose it very, very quickly. So you've got to bear in mind that and make sure that you choose your engagements wisely and where you're going to lose hit points, essentially. 60 kilometers an hour top speed is a fraud. It never really hits 60 kilometers an hour unless you're going downhill. If you're going downhill, you can maintain it, sure. But if you're on flat, you tend to go at like 46, 47 kilometers an hour, if that. You tend to really struggle to get anywhere near 50. Unless you run something like the powertrain or fuel, then you'll probably get up to about 50 odd. I think I was running the powertrain for a bit and I was hitting like that 50 odd kilometers an hour, just about. So don't, take the 6 kilometers an hour with a pinch of salt. You don't actually hit that unless you go downhill. So don't look at that stat and think, yes, 6 kilometers an hour, and then be disappointed when you play it because it doesn't hit it. You got 370 meters view range, which is fairly solid for a Tier 8 tank destroyer, actually. Most tend to not have that. So 370 meters view range added up to the 31% camo as well means that you're going to outspot most tanks that you're going to face. If you fit this out with camo net, with the camouflage crew, you can get this to dirty levels of camo, add in the optics and the situational awareness, and you've got a great view range as well, which means that you're very rarely going to get outspotted. I've played a fair few games where where you're facing people in this tank where they've clearly not spec'd it for camo and view range, and you've outspotted them really easily, and then also managed to dump your clip into them, or got at least 2-3 shells into them before they've realised what's happening. Set it up for camo and get yourself flanking, get yourself into good positions where you can use camo to your advantage. You're going to have a great time in this tank because it's fantastic with the camo, and add to that the fact that the gun's really good. You're going to have a good time if you spec it. Try not to be too aggressive in it because they can really punish you very easily for that. So, you've got a 4.71 round a minute rate of fire, which adds up to a 45-second reload. And it does have 5100 problems in that games pass it by very, very easily. If you make the wrong choice in firing too early and then dumping your clip too soon, or reloading, choosing to reload, and then, you know, you get opportunity to shoot, or just snapping shots and missing and stuff like that. Games will pass you by very, very easily, and that can be very, very frustrating, which is why I go to the... You'll see quite a few of these just firing full prom at 321 pen. It can be pretty frustrating when the games are passing you by, because there's a fair few games where they will just go way too quickly for you. It's a general autoloader problem as well, especially for autoloaders like this, like the 1500, like the Nomad, etc., etc., that have long reloads, where the game, you know, it starts to pass you by, like the T77 as well. Can be a bit frustrating. You've got a 2.3 second aim time, which is okay, but add to the fact that you've got a 2 second intro clip means that you aren't aimed in as quickly as you're firing the clip, which can lead to some derpy shots here and there. But for the most part, it's not a problem. It's just more of a balancing factor added with the reload. And these two drawbacks can hinder you quite a lot as well. But balance, you know. I'd say 4 shots in the clip, 2 second intro clip with the 1280 clip, which is fantastic. That means that you can decimate people really easily. That it is great to use. 0.34 accuracy, add in the gun perks, you will get that down to like 0.28, I think it was, or something like that. You'll see when we get to the garage bit. Makes it very, very accurate, which is very, very nice. And that is a very, very good strong point of the tank with this 105. You got 11 degrees of gun depression, which is fantastic. Get yourself on a ridgeline and use this 152mm of turret armor. Means that if you keep, you know, bouncing backwards and forwards on a ridgeline and keep pumping shots in, this 152mm of turret armor is absolutely solid. You're looking at like 230 pen round and abouts that it starts to pen you when you are hull down. But the thing is, you've also got lots of auto ricochet angles on the turret, which means you can ricochet a lot of shots as well. The turret is the only good bit of the armour. For the rest of the time, your side and upper plate, lower plate is terrible, and you will get instantly smashed by everything. So just use that turret armour to your advantage, but try not to get caught out in the open, because for the most part, your armour will get decimated. You've only got 10 degrees of elevation, which is a bit of a problem. It is the oscillating turret problem, where if tanks are above you on ridge lines, and I've had it a few times on stuff like Redshire, where I've just managed to not be able to get any more shots because someone's gone too high for my gun. It is a problem, but you can survive with it. You've got 28 degrees a second on the turret traverse, which is fine. It's really quite nice. That added to that with the 28 degrees a second track traverse, that's actually really good for a tank destroyer, especially the turreted variety, obviously. Most turreted tank destroyers seem to be around the 20 degrees a second mark. This being 28 degrees a second is wonderful. Add to that, tank destroyers generally have slower track traverse as well, and this has 28 degrees a second. Fantastic. That's a really good point of the tank for a turreted tank destroyer. 370 meters view range, we've been over. 640 horsepower is okay with the 14.66 horsepower per ton, but like I say, you might think 14.66 is okay. Actually, it's not that great for the tank, because it just seems to really struggle to get up to that 60 kilometers an hour top speed. As it tends to hit 46, 47 and stay there, and that's about it. So don't expect it to hit 60 unless you're going downhill. That is a major weakness of the tank, is the ability to get going, because it is fairly sluggish. You've got a 17 kilometer an hour reverse speed, which is actually pretty decent. Again, most turretless tank destroyers are going for 12 kilometers an hour reverse speed, so that's fine. 20% fire chance, which is quite high, but touching wood, I've never been set on fire, so, you know, that in this tank so far, incoming next match I get set on fire, right? Yeah. The terrain resistances at 1, 1.1 and 1.9 are actually really pretty good, which means it's not that's holding back this top speed and getting up to that top speed. It's actually the engine power. So you might want to run stuff like powertrain or fuel to be able to get up there, but it's up to you how you want to play the tank. And 570 meters view range, signal range, which, yeah. But on the whole, yeah, the GSOR is really good. Well, it's very, very solid. It's a very balanced tank, I think, to be honest. I think the ability to decimate people will get annoying for people, but once you learn that you see it and you go, no, I'm not having that, or, you know, you play a bit more cautiously against it, you'll be alright. And the fact is, it has no armour at all, except for the turret, so you can just smash it in the side, the front anyway, and you're going to pen it, generally. So, let's go over to the garage, where we can look at the GSOR. So here it is in the garage in all of its shiny glory. It's a good looking tank. It's a really enjoyable tank generally. I've really enjoyed playing this thing. So, in terms of a loadout, now I haven't actually, and this, you're not going to see it in the replays. This is for when I go again. The equipment setup is completely down to you. Now, I've put ammo swapper on now because I'm going to try playing it with the ammo swapper because I've been a little bit frustrated at times when I've been in bottom tier matchups where I've got AP loaded with 226 pen and then I'm facing a lot of tier 10 heavies where I just can't pen them with 226 pen and I want the 321 APCR pen. So I'm going to try out the ammo swapper. I might run the ammo swapper, to be perfectly honest. That is always an option, like I say, unless you're firing full prem, in which you don't need to worry with this piece of equipment. A lot of the games I was running vents and, you know, helping the crew performance, having a better accuracy, better DPM, just better everything. And then also there's the powertrain as well, which can make it so that you can get that better horsepower, which is, you know, something you might want. Or you can run the GLD if the aim time annoys you a little bit and get your aim time down. You know what? We'll have a look at what everything does with that setup. So without the other pieces of equipment, if we have a look here, we have a 2.12 second aim time. 12.2 second aim time. We put the GLD on, and we now have a 1.86 second aim time, which means obviously we're aiming faster than our intro clip, which is great. So if you want to run the GLD and have that, you can, and you'll see you've got a 1.86 second aim time, which is fantastic. You can see we've got a 0.28 aim accuracy as well, sorry. 0.28 accuracy, which is fine. And that's with all the gun perks. Your shell velocity is 1,000 meters a second. Well, 1,066. On the APCR, it's 1,400, which is fantastic. It's another boon for the APCR. And it's solid. So, in terms of, that's the other thing I was going to look at, if we can find it, is the engine power. So the engine power, or the power to weight I should say, is 14.66. So if we put the powertrain on, it should go up, and we'll have a look at that. So we're up to 15.4. And like I say, it tended to get me to about 51 kilometers an hour with the powertrain, which was pretty nice. It's, you know, that extra 4, 5, 6 kilometers an hour difference. So again, it's completely down to you. I'd always recommend optics and camo net because look how dirty the camo is. 232 meters of still concealment with the crew I'm about to show you as well. That is dirty with 473 meters view range. Filthy, 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 right? That is, yeah, disgusting. And you can abuse it really, really loads. So let's have a look at the commander that we use. Well, here's the commander I have been using. It's actually been different to what I'd normally use. I've been using a light tank crew actually, and I've been running Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Snapshot. Now, I've been running all the gun perks to make sure that this gun is as good as it possibly can be, because that's what I want. And, you know, it's just what I want, really. I mean, at the end of the day, you could drop Run and Gun and put something else on quite easily, run stuff like Rapid Aim or whatever, because you might not be firing shots on the move that much, but I like the ability to fire on the move, and especially if I'm moving in on a target, stuff like that, it really helps to have that 10% more accurate. Plus, it also helps with the bloom of the gun. If you're 10% more accurate while you're on the move, your gun's not going to bloom as much, well, it's going to bloom 10% less, obviously, while you're on the move, which means you're generally more accurate when you come to a standstill. Camo perks, like I say, because I want to maximise the camo on this tank, I want to make the most of this camo, which is exactly what I've been doing and using it to great effect. And the other perks, because they're perks that you pretty much will always take, quite frankly. So yeah, here's the armour in terms of the layout. Look, 175mm on the turret front there, which is, it says 152 on the Tankopedia. It's 175 here. Like I say, if you're using the gun depression, that is solid. Your upper plate, well, you're seeing like 149 on the turret still, and 98 on the tippy top. You've only got 98mm of plate armor on the upper plate, 76 on the lower plate. Like I say, the whole upper structure and lower structure is just complete garbage. It will get penned very, very easily. And in terms of the side armor, you have a little bit of spaced armor there with 6mm of spaced armor on the side. But in terms of the side, you've only got 50mm of side armor, which means that You will get overmatched by 152mm guns, so be careful when you go out in front of some of the Russian tanks or some of the tank destroyers that are in the game, because you will get overmatched in the side and it's not pretty. But for the most part, you know, you won't get overmatched there, which is decent. Yeah, don't realistically rely on the armour of the GSOR too much, because you will get smashed up about. Just make sure that if you go hull down, that you keep yourself wiggling and they will bounce on your turret most of the time. So yeah, the GSOR. Solid tank, solid tier 8 premium tank. It's a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun with it. Its mobility is sluggish. It's got no armour, but this gun is absolutely fantastic, and it can be a lot of fun to play, and it also just absolutely decimates people. So as always, everybody, I will send you over to the replays now, where you can check it out for yourself, see how it fares, and make your own mind up on it. So as always, everybody, I'll see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the GSOR 1008, and you can already see that, yeah, the reload is pretty long. It's one of the things that is painful about the tank. It's probably, like I said, one of the balancing factors of the tank, to be fair, because if it reloaded in 25 seconds or whatever, even 30 seconds, the burst damage potential of this tank would be ridiculous, and then you'd reload and then do it all over again. It's just managing that reload, so knowing when you've got time to reload, knowing when it's best to be reloading generally if you've got like one shell in the clip or whatever, and generally trying to make sure you hit your shots. I mean, I know that's something that you might think, well, I already tried to do that, right? But, you know, making sure you fully aimed shots, trying not to snapshot as much, because that is obviously one thing with it being a turreted tank destroyer, is it can't get vert stabs, which means you're not 20% more accurate, which means that a lot of the time it blooms a lot when you turn the turret, and if you try and snapshots, there's quite a few times it will just miss. Bit of a problem, really, and it's not quite what you want. But as you're seeing with the mobility as well, we never, I mean, we're going up and down, really, but we never really hit 60. The mobility is sluggish, and really does hold the tank back quite a bit. I do wish it had a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more grunt in the engine. That way it would get into position quite quickly. You see, we're on flat ground at the minute, and we're just sort of struggling towards 42, 43. Yeah, like I say, it's quite slow. But this first game, we're on Razanite, and we've got ourselves into a very aggressive position very early. We've got 2 shots into the Tiger 2. I don't know what it was. I just thought, you know what? They've got 3 artillery. I'm going to push, and their heavy tanks were all spotted crossing the sea line. I thought, you know what? I'm going to push aggressively and get to this bush. Because this bush, I can use the great camo on the tank, and I can try and get shots at the heavies and the tank destroyers you've seen that were crossing the open and get into their side. And as you see, we've got all 4 shots in. We're up to 1212 damage already. Great start to the game for the GSOR. If you catch people out, like I say, and you catch those shots perfect, oh, you just deliver them all and you get great damage very, very quickly, and it's really nice. So what I'm trying to do now is time the reload right so that I can get up behind this Armour 1 and Skoda T56 and get a big, juicy clip into them. But unfortunately, they've done weird things, right? I don't know what they're doing, because my team are sort of on the peripheries of the castle here, and they've kind of just YOLO'd, which means that I didn't expect that. I thought they'd be a bit more, well, a little bit less aggressive, but that means I'm in a great position to put 2 shots into the Skoda T56 to finish him off after he took a few hits. And if you haven't noticed, by the way, new shell tracers. Yep, not just RT shell tracers, all shell tracers have become better, which is really quite nice. And yeah, here we go. This is what GSOR's also good at. It's like, oh, hello, Mr. Jackal. Bang. Oh, before you can react, bang. There we go. 2 kills. I mean, that's an auto-loaded thing, but generally just because of how quick you pump the shells out, there's no time to react for them to react there. But yeah, the shell tracers have all been updated, which means that all the shell tracers are more vibrant, they're more noticeable, which is great. It's more like they were pre-6.0. Because after 6.0, for some reason, the shell tracers just became worse, even non-existent for some tanks. You just never saw them, especially firing them out at your own gun. Now you can see exactly where your shells go, which is great. Because there's sometimes you fire, and then you just never see the shell, and it's just like an invisible shell. You don't hit the tank, and you're like, where did that even go? You know, now you can see your shells every time. But we're pushing aggressively again now on Razanite, and we've caught 2 of their artilleries out, which is absolutely wonderful. It's what we wanted to do. We bounced the first shot on the equalizer, unfortunately, but we managed to take out with the equalizer and the M44 with the remaining clip. I'm now hiding behind this rock to make sure that, well, I'm safe from their older RT if he's here. and I can get my reload in. That is one thing that's been noticeable as well while playing during this update, this new update, is that when you are in positions where no one is looking at you, and then all of a sudden, and you're spotted, and all of a sudden it's just like detected, and you're like, oh my goodness me, it's artillery looking at me, run away! You know, now it's back to what it used to be like, which is, I never know why they changed it, but you can be detected by artillery when artillery is looking at you in their artillery view, which is great. Fantastic change. It's what I wanted for a very long time, so it took them long enough to do it. And it's really helpful. So anyway, now we're loaded. It's time to get the Draugen. We get 2 shots into the Draugen, and he gets shut down by the light tank. And I was thinking, where's the equalizer? I want the equalizer. Oh, he's dead. Oh. Their other arty died somewhere. It's like, great. Now there's the tank spotted at D7, so I'm going to try and get into a position to be able to see him, get him into render range, see if I can shoot him. And that's the reason mainly that I'm holding on to these 2 shells. And at this point, I haven't actually realised that the third arty is dead. And I think it's at this point here I realise, oh, wait, the light tank's over there and he's not spotting the arty. Wait, is the arty dead? Oh, he is. Oh, right. Oh, well, what have I been holding onto these shells for? Oh, dear. They've got 2 in the cap, but with our mobility, we're quite easily going to be able to get back. And where everyone is positioned is quite easily going to get back before they cap. So it's just a matter of making it. Like you see, I mean, we're at the minute on a slight downslope, so we're getting a nice little bit of extra engine power, which is great. But as soon as we're hitting the small little slope, we're back down to 45, 46, and we hit a tree as well. Doesn't help. So the mobility says it's 60 kilometers an hour, but it's definitely not. It definitely never really hits that unless you are going down slope. So just be aware of that. Right? Don't believe it when it says 60 kilometers an hour. So we're back into a position where we could see the cap. The A44 has been destroyed. There's now only 1 tank left. It's the tank destroyer sitting in the cap. We managed to spot him up. It's like, well, here we go. 1 and 2 to finish him off because someone else gets shot in. We'll finish the game with the 3.8k damage, which is really nice. And we finished with the victory. Top on the team. 6 kills, 1,600 assistants. 94,000 credits made, which is decent. Pascucci's medal, Top Gun, High Caliber, Sniper medal, First Class, and the 1,600 base XP. A really nice game for the GSOR on Rezai. Kind of showed how the tank can work with its ambush potential, and the fact that, you know, like the first clip that you saw, we caught those heavies out and the tank destroyer crossing the open, and we just smashed in the shells really quickly, got the damage out really fast, and then we were moving on to the next targets. And then when we went against tanks like the Skoda T56, the ML1 and the Jackal, they were low enough hit points that we could just come in and go bang, 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 3 kills in a row, just like that. And it's a really nice strength of the tank. So, we're on to the second game. And we're on El Haluf, and we are horrendously bottom tier. I'm loading the first standard clip, but this is one of those games where I'm looking at it going, I kind of wish I had the ammo swapper so that I could just switch to APCR if needed. Because it's going to be awkward if something like the 277 pops up and I'm not going to be able to deal with it. But we're going to an aggressive ledge to try and get shots at them crossing. But as we get there, it's like, oh, hello, Mr. Tiger Shot. Let me just delete you. Get out of my game, sir. And we go for the reload. Because, yeah, we'd only have 1 shell left. There's no point holding on to that. We may as well reload the full clip and try and catch someone outright. That's what we want to do. And El Haluf is the perfect start for us on the map as well. Because it's all downhill up until you get to this hill. Which means 6 kilometers an hour, you're going to get to the aggressive position really quickly. And like you saw, we managed to catch out that light tank and just absolutely wreck the poor guy's day before he could even react. Fantastic. So now we just wait for the reload to go in, and I'm looking at it going, I probably should have reloaded APCR, but we'll see. The Chieftain looked like he was going to go for it, but it doesn't. We're just reloading in time to get 1 into the Pershing, then get 2 shells in. Beautiful. Well, I don't even think we penned him there. I think we only did crit damage, which is sad. But we see the Cupola on the MXM 451. We slap that in, and we try and go for the third one, or the final shell in the clip, but unfortunately it doesn't go anywhere near. And now we're back in this reload. And it's engagements like this where the long reload does feel a little bit poor. Because as you sit in here, you're just sitting waiting, essentially, on the front line, waiting for this clip to go back in, so that I can get stuck in, because you're just basically watching your team whittle their health down and your team lose their health generally. And it's just, you've got to bear with it. You've just got to bear with this reload, because when you are fully reloaded, you can do some incredible amounts of damage. So now we are loaded. I know there's artillery in play, but I'm going to change up my position to try and get some shots. on this little spot here. So we're waiting for it, and it's like, oh, that M451 looked like he might go, but he doesn't, sadly, which would have been nice. But this medium tank looks like he's going. It's like, okay, Mr. Chisel, I'll get 1 in and 2 in. And then the Chieftain, it's like, oh, hello, we'll get 1 into you, and then we'll get 1 into the side of the 50 TP. Perfect clip, just what we want. Now we're reloading. We're just going to keep moving and wiggling. We're not detected at the minute, which means artillery isn't looking at us, which is nice to know. But then we get detected that split second last minute, and I don't know whether that was those guys. It was artillery shooting at us. As I say, didn't know they had backed up too much, and those guys on the ledge had looked at us, or whether that was artillery shifting its aim onto us. And you saw it there. It was clearly artillery shifting the aim onto us, and it's really cool to see that that detected feature is working like that. And this is the frustration of being having to reload an autoloader, because that Griller well, they had 2 or 3 tanks pass out straight in the open and we couldn't get shots. Now we're looking at this Griller, and there's actually a strange bug. Now, did you see that Griller? I looked at him and thought, he's just staring into the sky. Is he looking at me or something else? And then he just fired a shot at me while he's still looking into the sky, and it's like, what? Yeah, there's a strange bug at the minute, which means that tanks seem to be looking in the air or looking at the floor, but they're actually looking at you and they shoot you. It's really weird to experience, so hopefully they'll fix that fairly soon, because you might bet your house on someone is looking not at you and looking at, say, looking above you at someone on the ridgeline or something like that. In fact, they're actually looking at you, and that can be a little bit frustrating that the game, well, lies to you in that way. But that is a bug, so just beware of that when you're playing. Obviously, if you're watching this review in the future, that probably doesn't exist. But now we're reloaded. It's like, well, hello, Mr. 277. Thank you for shutting down the Chieftain, not me. We're still detected, which means there is something that I saw a shot was in from H56 that can get a shot in the back of us. So I can't escape that way because I will die. And now I'm accepting my fate. I'm probably going to die. I just want to see if I can get more shells out. So we get 1 into the side of the Chisel, and unfortunately the Chisel just snaps us and shuts us down. But we finish with the defeat, unfortunately, there. And finished with 2 kills, 4.1k damage, a bit of 64k credits, which isn't too bad for someone who fired a lot of premium. The sniper, the first class, 1000 base XP in a bottom tier matchup in a defeat, which is pretty great, to be honest. Shame we couldn't win that game, but it is what it is, right? There's times when it's the problem with the autoloaders at times is when you are stuck in long reloads, you're helpless to watch your team just get obliterated, pretty much. So we're on the 3rd and final replay, and this time we're on the brand new return map, Siegfried Line. I was so happy that I managed to get a good game here to show off Siegfried Line and this tank. Happy to see Siegfried Line. I always enjoyed the map, so it's great to see. That batch at 12T survived that. I'm very surprised. But it's the encounter variant, so we spawned in strange places, so I'm going straight over here. This Udez is caught in the open, which slammed the shot towards his tracks, end up tracking and penning him, get another shot into him blind, and then I'm thinking he might still be tracked, but he's not, and then he gets lit up after we fired as well. Typical is what it is. There's a Sturmpanzer sitting at the back at the bunker at B4. Now that's a position that tank destroyers do like to take. It's something you've got to watch out for when you play Siegfried Line. And to be honest, the fact that we got spotted and managed to shoot that Udez without ever getting detected makes me think that there's nothing really else out there. There's nothing else that can shoot at us. So I'm feeling pretty safe in this position. I'm just going to sit here with my great camo. That Sturmpanzer is never going to spot me. Even if I was to fire at him, I don't think he'd spot me. And I'm just going to wait for this clip to load before I go up into the middle. But then we spot the Sturmpanzer. He seems to have come out. And it's like, okay, then I'm just going to drop this shell into you. We get 2 in. Can we finish him off? Not quite. Kind of sad, but we've got 2 shells left, so we're going to see if we can shoot straight up into the middle. This Skoda T40 is coming into the middle, so it's like, hello, bang. And unfortunately can't quite get that final shell in. Then the GSOR appears. We try and snap the shell into him, but unfortunately we don't get that shot in there. It just derped into the side, but it was snapped. Now I can't back up because I was spotted, and the Sturmpanzer's probably looking at me, and I don't want to get hit by that because that's a big, big gun. And he will overmatch my tank everywhere he shoots, except for maybe the turret. And we don't want that. So I'm basically pulled into this safe location here. We're playing fairly aggressively here. In an aggressive position, it doesn't always work doing this because they might have tanks in this middle area. But it is what it is. I'm nearly reloading. I'm thinking, right, what do I want to do here? I could get up behind these guys and start shooting them in the ass. But then this Slayer looks like he's pulling out into the middle. It's like, well, all right then. I was hoping he'd keep going, but he doesn't. So we get 1 into his side. He didn't react in time, and it's like, get the shot into his drive wheel. Fortunately enough, it tracked him in place, and we shut him down. And we go straight for the reload so that we're loaded for anything else that possibly comes towards us. And we'll be ready for any threat. So while we're reloading, what I want to do is stay safe here, but also possibly see if there's any shots I can get at stuff like the Sturmpanzer maybe. See if there's any shots I can possibly get along the sea line. But what I'm actually thinking is, you know what, I'm going to see if I can spot straight up into the middle of the town. Because doing that, then I'll know if anything's coming towards us. So we're 6 seconds out. This TLH 105 1000 is in front of us, and it's like, okay, you're in a bad place, sir. Goodbye. We get 2 shots into him and finish him off. We've got 2 shells left, and I'm looking at it like, is there anyone else can get a shot into? The Skoda T40 makes the mistake of crossing, and we managed to finish him off. That final shot, I have no idea how that final shell went into that Skoda there. That was a very, very lucky shot, very lucky RNG to get that in. Now this Tiger P's charging, it's like, okay, I'll thankfully get shot, which means I can clip him out, which is great. But I'm not going to sit around and let this guy come round and stop pumping shots into me. I'm pretty precious with my health. I'm an autoloader after all. And so we pull back round this corner, and unfortunately he just catches a glimpse of us. But clearly he thought we might have run off down the E-line. So he just ignores us and carries on ploughing on, hasn't realised we're here. So now we're loaded. It's like, well, hello, Mr. Back End of a Tiger P. Perfect. We get 2 in. Can we finish him off? Not, unfortunately not. But we do manage to get a shot into the back of the T43 to finish off the clip. And we're up to 4.7k damage now, which is absolutely wonderful. It's what we wanted. And we're now just stuck waiting for the reload. We've got 1 clip of AP left, and then we're going to have to switch to APCR. Make sure we remember to switch to APCR so we're not loading 36 seconds worth of 1 shell. And I'm watching this heavy tank, and he's just getting stuck between the SU-100 and the GSOR 1008, which is awkward, because I don't want... The problem is I'm full health, right? Which is fine. I'm full health. The GSOR's just shut down the Absolution, which means I know he can't clip me out. But things, if I catch that GSOR on a full reload, he will clip me out. We can clip each other out. And that's just awkward. We don't want to be in that situation. But I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to hope to catch this GSOR out. So as we come around the corner, it's like, TD, oh, it's the SU-100. I can't turn down killing the SU-100. So we shut him down. And I'm thinking, right, oh, God, where's the GSOR's still going to be reloading, but where's he going to come from? So you know what? I'm going to move towards my 2 allies, and hopefully they'll be able to get to me by the time that either he'll be reloaded or I'll be reloaded, you know? Then we come around the corner, it's like, oh, there's the SU-8. Oh, the first shot derps, and then we manage to finish him off. The GSOR's coming around, he gets a shot into us. That means he's got 3 in the clip. And it's like, okay, he's got 3 shells left. I'm reloading. I don't want to get caught out by this guy. He's actually going round the other way, so it's like, right, okay, ring around the roses time. We're both as quick as each other. Let's just get away from each other, right? So I'm going to come round here. And in fact, actually, I'm thinking I'm nearly loaded. He's going to spot 2 of my guys. He's probably going to get distracted with them. But he doesn't get distracted with them. But now I know. He's just bounced 1. He can't clip me out now. So I know that I'm going to be able to get 2 shells into him at least. He gets shot by the TD behind me, so we get to finish off that other GSOR, which is great. We finished the game with 5.6k damage. The victory, 6 kills, 1979 base XP, a good amount of credits, ace tanker, top gun, high caliber, and yeah, 1979 base XP. A really nice game for the GSOR 1008, the brand new British Tier 8 premium tank destroyer. And it's a great tank. I've really enjoyed it. It's well worth the 6,000 Ultimate Season Pass, especially if you don't have any of the tanks in the pass, and let's say you get the 2k gold back as well. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!